Is it all part of the equation or what?
It is. It definitely is. It all ties in.
The Bills make me wanna shout.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Crowd Assist podcast, sponsored by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? Get there early this weekend because it is going to be popping as Sunday Night Football comes to town, to Buffalo, New York. Slick, can you believe, I mean, you can believe this, but it's still weird to hear it, that this will be the first Sunday Night Football game in Buffalo with fans since 2007. 15 years ago. And the Bills only got flexed into that game because the New England Patriots were on a war path going for an undefeated season and destroyed the Bills 56 to 10.
Right. I totally forgot that was the circumstances. But yeah, it's crazy. 15 years. It's just wild. You know, this place is going to be rocking. These fans have been waiting a long time for this moment. And it's finally here. Carrie Underwood going to be doing the intro for a game in Orchard Park. Pretty fucking crazy, honestly, when I think about it. And with the caliber this team is, oh man, it's going to be so fun. You've seen the ticket prices. This game is in high demand.
My plan at the beginning of the season was like, that's the game I'm going to come back home, go to Halloween night, whatever. And I was like, no, not quite. Not going to be this night.
My professor said it wasn't for this game, but she could have done it for this game. She said her and her husband have seasons, and they sold their tickets to the home opener for $350 a piece.
Ooh.
For perspective, this game certain tickets are going for $500. And she said it's not like they're in the 100. She said they sit like way up in the 300. So she basically made her season ticket money back off one game.
Yeah, my buddy did that for the Steelers game. He sold like both his tickets. He ended up just like he was tailgating, but was just outside the stadium. He sent me like a picture of them just like during the middle of the game. I was like, "Aren't you at the game?" He's like, "Bro, I sold these for like 600 total. I paid 700 for my seasons, like or 800, something like that." Like, okay.
That is amazing. And
that's like, a finesse.
And you're still enjoying the ride just as much.
Yeah, and I mean that would have been a great game to be at, that Steelers game, but also he's gonna be there Sunday night, killing it. Everybody all those seasons. It's gonna be a great atmosphere.
Yeah, right. You know, and yeah.
It's going to be fun. All right, let's get to some news as we come into this week, just across the league. And this is going to be big for the Bills, I think, going forward and for the AFC in general. Today, late, just about an hour. Well, we're recording this Thursday night. So about an hour ago, yesterday, if you're watching this Friday evening, Ja'Marr Chase on injured reserve, a hip injury. They weren't very specific about what the hip injury was, but they said it's about a 4 to 6 week timeline. He can obviously return after 4 weeks, but a huge loss to the Bengals, who are battling for the AFC North. We obviously, we'll know tomorrow when this is aired what happened in the Ravens-Bucks game tonight, which is obviously a huge game in the AFC as well. But Ja'Marr Chase out 4 weeks, a hip injury, probably something that's going to linger, I would imagine, throughout the season. How big of a deal it's a huge deal for the Bengals. Do you think it changes anything in the AFC race at all?
In the long-term AFC picture as a whole, probably not. But you know, the divisional wise, I think it really does. This will hurt the Bengals. This, you know, a franchise wide receiver you have, and the Bengals coming off a Super Bowl appearance year, you know, kind of with that drought secondary follow-up. They need all they can get as they're going so far. And it's interesting, like you said, I wonder, you know, how long Ja'Marr Chase has been dealing with this. Now they're saying 4 to 6 weeks, candidate for the injured reserve. This is going to hurt them in the divisional race, because I think that's what it comes down to. If you want to go far in the playoffs, is who gets the number one seed in that division. I don't think it affects the AFC in the long run. I think we know how the AFC playoff picture is going to shape out for the most part. I'm not going to say anything too specific. People can just interpret what I mean by that, because I don't want to jinx it. But this is huge. If the Bengals want to have a chance, want to be in playoff contention. I think this really does hurt them down the line. Their top weapon when they're struggling to put points up on the board this season.
Yeah, I think that having the Bengals, obviously won the division last year. They're in a heated race with the Ravens right now. It's going to hurt them a lot, and they're a dangerous wild card team if that's where they end up for sure. And they'd be if they end up as a wild card, probably the last, either them or the Ravens, whoever one of those teams doesn't win that division is probably the most dangerous wild card team. But just looking at the immediate future, they go to Cleveland, a desperate Cleveland Brown team who's 2-5 right now, on Monday Night Football, and they're going to be without Jamar Chase. Yeah, it's going to be a fun game for sure. But that's a tough blow, and it's such an important division matchup coming up. And that's a Browns team who is struggling right now, obviously 2-5, but has lost 4 of those games in heartbreaking, typical Cleveland Browns fashion. I think they're still a good squad. If you look at their offense, they're like one of the top 5 offenses in the league right now. And it's crazy to think that.
It's wild. I've been checking scores every Sunday and seen the Browns neck and neck with yet another team, and it feels like, wow, they could be pulling out a W this week and just barely managed to lose it in the last few minutes. But I could totally see them potentially beating the Bengals here, and then this Browns team, nothing to prove really, with Deshaun Watson still suspended. Then how does the division look after that if the Browns win that Monday night game? So things could be interesting here for the Bengals. But we'll see. 4 to 6 weeks, I think, is the timeline they said.
Yeah.
So if you can get into the wild card picture or even squeak out a division win, getting Jamar back in time for the playoffs is huge, obviously.
For sure. So let's get to some big news related to Bills Packers. This is actually not related to Bills Packers, but related to the Buffalo Bills. Big news today. The first official stadium renderings came out. Here is the outdoor of the stadium. And lo and behold, I think Jeremy White was leading it. The big buffaloes in the middle.
Dude, that got me so fired up.
I mean, seeing it, they said it's going to be like 2 stories high. That big one. Yeah. That's a big ass buffalo.
Those are going to be massive.
Someone did a nice, very clever edit of when Josh Allen's career is over, of him hurdling the buffaloes as the statue in front of the stadium. Has to be.
Dude, or like him riding one, dude.
That would be great. Oh
Unreal.
My God. Unreal. That would be great. I also love just breaking down the picture more than the stadium here, that it's like winter time. You got Christmas lights all around, everything. Very classic. But the outdoor, the stadium, I mean, I don't really have a lot to comment on it. Like visual wise, it looks like MetLife kind of. I know that they took a lot of inspiration from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium too. Kind of looks like that. Let's get the look of the inside here. It's going to be, as we know, it's going to be, I think, about 10,000 seats less or 5,000 seats less. So we were talking about those stadium prices. I mean, probably going to stay this way as long as this team is good. But it's great to just see it, finally see what the vision's going to be. And I'm excited. I mean, it's obviously a hot button topic in Western New York and has been for a couple of years, but getting this out here and having all the officials, it only means the Bills are staying. So it's good news in my mind. I was really excited to see it this morning.
For sure. It's kind of crazy too when you pull up that image of the inside of the stadium and talk about 10,000 seats less, because that photo just makes the stadium look massive from the inside perspective. But I also saw something comparisons to Allegiant Stadium. I think one of the designers is the same one that helped do some of the work for Allegiant Stadium, which is pretty cool. Obviously, that stadium being nicknamed the Death Star or similar like it. And what a lot of people don't realize who don't live in Buffalo looking at that picture for the first time is that slightest bit of a roof over those 300 level seats that carries over maybe even down to some people lower is going to be massive for fans come winter time, depending on which side of the stadium you're sitting on. Just enough to cover you up from some potential precipitation of some form is going to be huge.
And the winds that's supposed to really protect. I mean, it looks like it protects from the wind, and it's obviously being above ground entirely. That's just going to look so strange, especially people driving in. Like you see the stadium, and it just doesn't like. I feel like bringing people that haven't been to the current stadium, it's just like a shock to them because they're like, "What is like going on there?" Like it doesn't look like any other stadium. So that'll be. I'm excited. It means the Bills are going to be around for a long time, and that's exciting to me. Taxes and all that shit be damned. Like we know we're gonna get screwed over by NFL teams. You should know that we're gonna get screwed over by NFL teams by now.
Yeah, I mean it's big business, you know, the NFL big corporation, you know, just like any other, and that's what money comes with that. And you know, hopefully though, like you said, the Bills are gonna be staying around in Buffalo for the near future, and hopefully some new businesses pop up in Orchard Park as a result of this too. And helps the economy flourish. There's nothing not good for the city of Buffalo with the Bills staying. I don't care if it's in Orchard Park. You can complain all you want. It's just good that the Bills are in Buffalo.
For sure. Let's get into this week's game then. Let's get into it a little bit here. We'll start with the Packers storylines because there's a bunch coming out of this week. Now, Aaron Rodgers this week on the Pat McAfee show, which I was watching this live, and it was kind of, you never like, you know, when you're watching like interviews live or for the first time and you're just like, oh shit, like, you know, this is going to drop. I think the biggest example of this for me was last year listening to the Eichel exit interview, like live while I was working and just jaw on the floor as I was like, oh shit, like this is really happening right now. So this is a quote.
For any wrestling fans out there, the All Out Media Scrum, watching that live and thinking, oh my God.
That was something. I was getting that by tweets, like leaving the arena being like, oh, he's going off. Oh,
you probably didn't fully understand though. Just
I had no idea until I started watching, and then I was like, oh,
yeah,
man, it's deranged. Aaron Rodgers, kind of the same. Kind of in the same
kind of
vein.
a similar person if we had to break it down.
Yeah, they kind of look alike too, honestly.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
You ever seen them in the same room? I don't know. Guys who are making too many mistakes shouldn't be playing. Got to start cutting some reps. Too many mental errors, Aaron Rodgers talked about. That was the initial quote. This was today, I believe, from the Packers locker room. We're going to listen in here to our boy Aaron Rodgers and just let's see what he has to say.
I did do a practice. I'm not saying anything on Pat that I'm not saying to those guys. So, you know, maybe that's talking about a conversation that's behind closed doors in public, but you know, the level of accountability is the standard here. And again, I don't think it should be a problem to any of those guys to hear criticism. We all hear criticism in our own ways. And we all got to, you know, be okay with it and take it in, process it. And if it doesn't fit, then it doesn't fit. But if it fits, we gotta wear it and improve on those certain things.
All right, that's enough of Aaron Rodgers, but that's not good. I mean, having to go defend. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, like, what happened, dude? He's become so unlikable in the past few years. What happened?
Shoot, man, I don't get it either. I really, it's been such a crazy turn. Maybe it was just getting ridiculed for being very loudly unvaccinated. Because like, how many people in the league were unvaccinated, and how many people were spouting it out as much as Aaron Rodgers was?
Oh, he was immunized.
Immunized.
Yeah, you're forgetting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what started it, and he's just taken this downturn, and then it's just crazy. It is crazy to see him. But talking about this team in general this year, like, they're in a bad way at the moment. Losing to the Commanders last week, they lost to the Giants and Jets the weeks before. Like, they have lost. The Green Bay Packers, led by Aaron Rodgers, have lost 3 consecutive games to the New York Giants, the New York Jets, and the Washington Commanders. If I told you that before the season, Slick, like, would you have believed me? How crazy do you think I would have looked? I wonder what the odds would have been if we put that in like a money line parlay before the season.
I would have asked you, like, all right, what? So how long has Aaron Rodgers been out injured? So Jordan Love is
Jordan Love's that bad.
yeah. But here we are, Aaron Rodgers. And one thing that struck me in that locker room interview that I was gonna comment on from even before the locker room interview, after the Pat McAfee quote, is he even brought it up himself, accountability. Where is your accountability, Aaron?
Yeah, right. What about your mental mistakes?
You've
What
been
about
playing
your
like
mental errors?
trash.
Yeah.
You can criticize your teammates all you want. Sure, you don't have the weapons you used to, and maybe the young guys might need to be a bit more committed than they are. But, dude, you're not helping the cause one bit.
Yeah.
And
not at all.
you say everyone gets their own criticism in every way, but I think you're the one left in that franchise that isn't. I think, frankly, the people in that franchise are scared to hold him accountable. Because
I don't think they can. I mean, he's
right, because they by the skin of their teeth convinced him to stay for another season,
Yeah.
And so what do you do if you do piss him off? I mean, this is just tomfoolery, this whole situation. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like his attitude lately. It's just, it seems like a bit like I'm better than all these guys,
Oh yeah.
I don't think I want to say completely that I'm seeing the same thing with Tom Brady, but dude, these guys should have seriously considered just not playing football this season.
Well, how weird is it that it's happening like coinciding next to each other? Like we said, we're taping this last night on Thursday, but the Bucks could theoretically be 3-5. There was another report about Giselle being like, it's football or me after this year. No matter, I don't even know if it's this year. It didn't even give a timeline. Like, what if Brady retires like week 9? It's just like, guys, this ain't working.
Or mid-game.
Pulls a Vontae Davis.
Yeah. Oh, man.
The Ravens are up 21-0, and Brady's like, guys, listen,
I'm gonna head out.
I've had it. Lamar is just.
This will be the most legendary show ever if that does happen halftime.
Yes.
This game coming up, but
I'm making a prediction right now. Tom Brady is going to retire after the game tonight at a press conference. He's just gonna be like, guys, I don't got it anymore.
Yeah,
the wife's mad. I gotta go home.
Don't bet your life on that, folks. But it would be funny for sure, and I think Micah would be owed some money for sure if that did happen.
No, I'm not even counting out the Bucks. I'm not even counting out the Packers, honestly, for the rest of this year. No possible way. But it is very telling. I think that this is something that I've talked about with some friends about the coaching there and Matt LaFleur. And obviously there has been friction between those two from the beginning. They picked A.J. Dillon a couple years ago. Like, this is the one thing. We were talking about the Browns earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
In what world in the NFL do you need 2 top flight running backs on your roster at this point, right? Like, it just seems like bad roster construction. Chubb and Hunt, they're awesome. Great tandem. They're not winning games. Chubb is the leading rusher in the league. They're 2-5. You look at this team, A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones, awesome players. Would love one of those running backs on my team. Do I want both of them? Not at all. And also, when you have a star quarterback, why is that the position you're investing in? It just doesn't. It made it seem like they were trying to like discredit Rodgers over the last couple years in a way, or trying to like make him like the ultimate game manager. And he won back-to-back MVPs doing it. But he also had the best receiver in football on his team. And it just covered up so many deficiencies. And now we're seeing LaFleur actually have to coach and Rodgers actually have to lead through some kind of, turmoil that they're having at the moment and actually work together to try to fix this. And it's not, he's calling out players. He basically called out the coaches by saying these guys need to sit if they're not doing the right things. It's a mess, and they're clear. I don't know who the leader is in that locker room, and I don't know if the players know who the leader is. Now, mind you, Sammy Watkins, a couple of guys are like, listen, Aaron, like, it didn't bother us at all, whatever. What are they going to say? Are they going to come out after Aaron Rodgers when they haven't, none of them have played well either. Christian Watson's been a disappointment. Romeo Doubs has been a disappointment. I think the only consistent receiver has honestly been Lazard, and he's been on and off the field with injuries, and he's doubtful for this week. Their best receiver going into Buffalo. So their tight end is Mercedes Lewis, 38 years old. Like it's just not a well-built offense in my mind at this point. And it's not built for what you need to help your older quarterback. Like you should be loading him up with weapons, not running backs when nobody wants running backs. Like no one wants 2 running backs on their team anymore. The Jags just traded their best. I mean, they have a young running back, but they're like, oh, we can get a 6th round pick for our very good running back and James Robinson. We'll take that all day.
Yeah.
Like that's not even a good franchise. It's the Jaguars. And what are we talking about here? So I just think this is kind of the culmination of Packers issues and LaFleur never really being pressured or never really having to coach through turmoil. I mean, they were like 13-3, 12-4, 3 years in a row, and then blew it in the playoffs, which has been a Rodgers staple too. But I don't know, man. I could see them being a playoff team still and see them, kind of righting the ship a little bit. But I think the days of them being a powerhouse with the way they're constructed at the moment right now is tough. It's tough to see that happen. And then you see like guys like Adams who wanted out, whether he says it's because there were conflicting reports. It was he wanted to play with Derek Carr, but also didn't know what Aaron was going to do. So Darius Smith, their star linebacker from the last couple of years, signing with a division rival in the offseason with the Vikings. Like those are just, I mean, and maybe in that moment people were talking about it and a little worried about it, but now it's like you look back, you're like, damn, like maybe they just saw the writing on the wall with what the heck was going on. And I think the biggest thing with Rodgers too, he wasn't at OTAs. He didn't show up in the summer to build chemistry with the rookies. He was doing ayahuasca in May instead of
DMT and on retreats in the hills.
So how are you going to complain about chemistry when you don't show up to try to get chemistry with your guys? Because he didn't want to, because he's talking out of both sides of his mouth.
And I think a thing too with that is the past few seasons he didn't really have to be a leader at all because he already had that cohesiveness with those teammates and. They were on the same page he was, and they were very talented players, weapons, like you said, that he had. And this year, facing adversity, new guys coming into the system under a new coaching regime, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't have that leadership ability. He doesn't want to have it. And it's been so long, he's like, oh, man, can't you guys just get it already? Like, he doesn't want to have to do it himself. He's like, you guys barely made me stay here. Like, I don't want to have to get this shit going. Like, that's your job, LaFleur. Like, you made me stay. Come on, let's get these guys on the same page. And that's not helping. But it's crazy. He's not acknowledging his own poor performance. And, this could be the last season we see Aaron Rodgers let alone in a Green Bay uniform, but playing football.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year, and it's an interesting time to catch them. That's for sure. I mean, there's the comment on Sunday too after the game about maybe it's the best thing for them to go to Buffalo. And Bills fans,
what are you thinking saying that?
Bills fans took it too far. Like, oh, he thinks he's gonna walk. No, him saying that in that moment is like, we're gonna go there and get our fucking asses kicked in, and that's going to be the best thing for us. That's what he was saying. That's how I took it, at least.
And that's how I saw it, too. But either way, it's like,
it's so dumb. Why would you say that?
Yeah. It's like, dude, you're like asking your guys to step up and asking the coach to bench your guys and hold them accountable. And now you're saying, like, we're going to go into Buffalo and get destroyed. I don't really know what the mindset is behind that, but hey. He's never been a normal guy, so there we have that.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the Packers. You want to talk it from a game standpoint? Their offense is going to have a lot of trouble with the Bills, unless Rodgers is on another level. And the defense, one of the worst defenses on first and second down of the year. The Bills are the best offense on first and second down this year. So I expect a lot of early down aggression from the Bills, and honestly, just the Bills' offense has had their way with every single team this year, and I don't think that's going to be any different. Let's get into the Bills a little bit here and get into our game predictions as we wrap up the show, because we haven't talked really about the Bills at all. But there's not a lot to say coming off the bye. Yes. Obviously, last show we talked about it was me, Wake, and Al just talking about the win against the Chiefs and just the outlook on the season. Slick, you would have taken 5-1. Every second of every day going into the season, heading into this. I mean,
hell yeah. And it's kind of a refresher with this bye week is, a lack of updates on injuries.
Mhm.
Oh, it's refreshing to not hear about another player like dealing with some sort. We had the time to get some rest, and so it's good not hearing updates for a bit over a week, just like that. So coming out of the bye, hopefully it still looks strong. We're getting some guys back, and guys were able to get rest that have been out. So it's in a way refreshing to not have updates for a certain period of time. And like you said, I would have taken 5-1 in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat, yeah, definitely. So coming off the bye, Sean McDermott, 5-0 off of bye weeks, in his career with the Bills. This is obviously, as we talked about at the top, Sunday Night Football, first time with fans since 2007. And that was a massacre that I think everybody kind of expected it to be with that Tom Brady and the Patriots, that team that year. So really, like, the first time in a very long time that the crowd is going. I can't wait to see what it looks like. So I'll be watching from home and just seeing what the atmosphere is going to be like. It's going to be so freaking loud in there. Like, it's going to be, I'm expecting like false starts on the first drive for the Packers, all that stuff. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere for sure. And I think I don't see a way that the Bills, like the Packers, can even do anything offensively against this team the way they've looked so far. Maybe if they can figure out some success running the ball, but it's not like teams have had great success doing that. And on the defensive side of the ball for the Packers, like I said, first and second down been bad. They haven't gotten a lot of pressure to the quarterback, and Josh Allen's he's been on another level. And I think that, we're looking at a team, like you said, it's going to be pretty fully healthy. Very interested to see what the Shakir McKenzie splits look like in this game. It's not as big of a game. I mean, still a big game, but it's not the Chiefs. The Chiefs game was the biggest game of the season. We knew that they were going all hands on deck for everything there and throwing their best foot forward. So I'm interested to see, like, if they try some stuff on offense, what they do there. But the Bills, man, they're just rolling. Like they've been rolling. The only loss this season by 2 points in Miami. I think we've talked that game to death at this point. And I'm glad that it happened, because I wouldn't want to be talking about the undefeated potentially Bills going the whole way. I think that would have been a lot of extra pressure and everything. So coming out of the bye, like we said, 5-1 at the beginning, take it all day, every day. And to get into the prediction here quick, because there's not a lot like to break down. I think schematically, I think the Packers are overmatched pretty much everywhere. The Bills are deeper and more talented at every position, even the quarterback position, which is crazy to say when we're talking about Aaron Rodgers defending 2-time MVP on the other side of the ball. But that's the level Josh Allen's playing at. And I think the Bills are going to take this one on Sunday Night Football, 38-13. Slick, what do you think?
Wow, we are right there. We have the Bills with the same number of points. I didn't want to take this score at first because it was the exact score against Pittsburgh, but I'm doing it. 38-3.
Wow.
I don't think this offense can do much. I don't think they have much to offer the Bills defense at all. Like you said, I think a lot of guys are not on the same page here. There's going to be frustration on the field. This crowd is going to be loud. We are going to get a lot of crowd assists, no pun intended.
Nice.
And yeah, I think we put up a good number of points and hopefully even do it faster than we did the Steelers and rest some guys, rest our offense, because the next 2 weeks, not terribly concerning teams, but you got the 5-2 Jets and then the 5-1 Vikings after that. So if you can get some points on the board early and get some your top guys on the sideline and secondary in, and just rely on your defense in the later portion of this game, that's huge, because definitely some unknowns with those two teams, especially the Jets, who beat this Packers team. So I don't think the Packers are going to have a lot to offer the Bills here. So 38-3, I'm going to stick with that. I could see Rodgers getting like a garbage time touchdown or something. Yeah, or one that like is a total fluke on the defensive end. But Yeah, I think this is going to be a dominating game. Another exclamation point statement for Josh Allen.
A party on Sunday night at Highmark Stadium going into Halloween. I can't wait to see the Halloween costumes that Bills fans break out.
This is
Oh
true.
my gosh, it's going to be great.
Where else would you rather be?
Where else would you rather be? Indeed. All right, that'll do it for the Crowd Assist podcast, Bills Packers preview. Thank you, Slick L, for joining this week. Jake Micah here. Obviously, we're sponsored by Outlet Liquor, your place to buy a case. Get there for game day on Sunday night. Have a great night, folks. Go Bills.
Go Bills.